Hi, I'm Jan, and this is day 3 of Viva La Vegan, the whole package at marylou.com. Today is a very special day, maybe not so much for you, but for me, it is my 42nd wedding anniversary, and I want to make something special. Now, I know today's topic is sugar and why you shouldn't be consuming it, but I'm going to show you a nice, fairly low sugar, but really, really tasty vegan treat. And that is pavlova. Now, if you've ever had pavlova, it's a beautiful meringue shell, which of course is egg whites, and it's filled with lovely whipped topping and has beautiful fruit in it. And I'm going to show you today how we can do that and make it vegan and delicious, and I will be surprising my husband with that tonight. So here we go. We're starting with the whipped topping because it needs to go in the refrigerator for a while. We need 1 cup of soft tofu. Go back to last year's tofu lesson class video if you want more information on that. But do not get silken tofu or you will have a runny mess for your whipped topping. It so happened that none of the 3 stores I went to today had any soft tofu, so we're using firm, which is fine. It'll just be a little bit thicker. We make this in the blender, which is very handy. To the tofu, you simply add 4 tablespoons of oil. My favorite oil to use is avocado oil because it's just a really, really nice texture and a very light flavor. You could use almond oil or canola or another vegetable oil, but I really prefer the mild flavor of the avocado oil. Next is 2 tablespoons of pure maple syrup, a ½ teaspoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice, and a teaspoon and a half of vanilla. And finally, just a little 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt is all you need in there. And I'm going to turn on my blender. We're going to pause the camera so that your ears are not blasted. And I'm just going to blend this until it's smooth. That took about 30 seconds is all. And now I'm just going to put it into a little container and put it in my refrigerator. Isn't that pretty? It'll firm up a bit. A word about the tofu. If you have tofu left over, make sure that you put it in a sealed container with a little bit of water, because if you don't put the water in, it'll dry out and not be so good for you. But this will keep several days, so you can use it for something else. This whipped topping can be used for anything you need whipped topping for. It's very tasty. That little bit of maple syrup makes it plenty sweet enough, so you can use it on strawberries or whatever you need it for. So, off to the fridge. I'm back. Now we're going to make the meringue shell, which of course is not really meringue. This takes some special ingredients. You'll have to peruse your health food store and buy some certain things. First we have soy protein powder, but not just any protein powder. Read the ingredients and it needs to say soy protein isolate. If it doesn't say isolate, it will not work for this project. Second important ingredient is xanthan gum. This is what is going to hold it together. If you don't use xanthan gum, it'll collapse. It will not look anything like a meringue shell. It won't be fluffy. If you're gluten intolerant, you probably have a good supply of this. If not, you don't have to buy a container this big. You can usually find it in the small bulk section of your health food store. The other ingredient we're going to be using is just white vinegar. There's water, and finally I use organic powdered sugar. This is so important that you sift this, because part of what makes it organic is that they don't add any cornstarch to it, which is what keeps powdered sugar that's not organic nice and soft and not lumpy. So I use just my sieve, and I shake and shake and shake, and I smash with a fork because there's big lumps in it. So let's get going. First, turn your oven to 300 degrees and let it be heating up. Next, you need a piece of parchment paper on a baking sheet, and you need to take something you have that's 7 inches. I find my cereal bowl works well. If you're inclined toward geometry, you could use a compass and actually make an exactly 7-inch circle. A pen. I tested this before I started, and my pen somehow isn't writing on this. But anyway, a 7-inch circle. There you go. And then just set this aside. We'll need it. So pour your water in first, and then the soy powder on top. And add the water. Now I'm going to beat this up for a minute, and we're going to pause the video. Use your whipping tool if you have one on your mixer. So here we go. I'm back, and what we did was beat this for just a few minutes until it's fairly bubbly. And now I'm just going to sprinkle the xanthan gum on top, and then we're going to turn the mixer back on again. So we'll pause you, and you'll be very glad we did because it's pretty loud. But just sprinkle the xanthan gum over the top, and I am going to beat this at the highest speed my mixer goes, which if you have a KitchenAid, you're lucky because it goes really high. And this mix with the xanthan gum in it is just going to start to ripple a little bit, and then we'll start adding in the sugar. I just want to show you this at this step, because you can see that this mix is gotten kind of thick, and it is holding a little bit of a peak. And now what we're going to do is the final step is to add the powdered sugar. And we do this while it's beating at a good clip, so it couldn't fly all over. I'm not going to use my highest, I'm going to use the second to the highest setting so that it doesn't go everywhere. I have to put this in 2 tablespoons at a time and let it blend together. So I'm going to do this I'll do one with the camera on, and then we'll pause again while I do this. And then I'll beat it for 5 minutes or more until it's nice and thick and stiff and holds a peak just like a meringue would, and then we'll come back. All right. Wait till you see this beautiful, beautiful non-meringue, non-dairy meringue. Isn't that just lovely? It's holding a peak. It's got a nice sheen to it. I have a silicone spatula that I will use to get it out. Sorry about that clanking, but hey, got to get it off of here. And it all goes inside this little circle that we drew. Oh, this is so nice. You would never know this was not egg. My husband is going to be so happy. But you almost caught me putting it on my finger, didn't you? You want to get every bit of it you can in here. You're going to spread this out. make it take up the full circle here. And what we're going to do is make it kind of a bowl shape, because you need the inside of it to be able to put your fruit. And believe it or not, this is about 6 servings worth here, so that's good. And what I'm going to do is take this smaller spoon that I have here and just make some cute little swirls in the edge so that it comes out really pretty in the oven. And this is just going to be gorgeous when it's baked. At the 300 degrees, really it's more drying it than baking it, although it will puff up nice and big. You want to check it every 15 minutes or so, and if the middle of it gets too big, you can push it down. But this takes an hour and a half to cook, so patience is a key here. Try to keep the kids from slamming doors, because this is like an egg white concoction and it will fall. So there you have it. I'm going to put this in the oven for an hour and a half, and the next time you see it, I'll be putting the whipped topping in and the fruit in and presenting it to my husband in honor of our wedding anniversary. I'll be back. Okay, this cooked for an hour and a half in the 300-degree oven, and then I took it out and let it cool on the baking sheet until it's completely cool. This thing weighs nothing, and it's beautiful. So all we have to do is dress it. Don't do this until you're just ready to eat, because the whipped topping will soften the crust a bit if you do that. So to just keep them separate, put it together right before you're going to eat. And all it remains is a little decorating. You can use any kind of fruit you want for this. It's really good with pineapple, or go with a melon theme. Or if you don't want to take the time to put your fruit around it in an artful way, then heap it on. It's delicious whatever you do. And I'm pretty sure my husband is going to be delighted with this. We're not a dessert household, and so for me to make and serve any kind of dessert is a special occasion just for that. But 42 years of married life, still loving it. It's got a lot of places to go, see and do, and things to do, and my husband is worth the effort. Happy anniversary, honey. Bye.